I think that you'd argue that's the real powerhouse. But the way this scoring system does break down, there is more weighting given to the Battlegrounds points when you do really get into it.
You can't give Collins this. You can't give him this. This is a Collins absolute monster of a lobby. I'm calling it now, assuming this is the next game.
This is just second lobby now. Yeah, the fact that we didn't see the picks happening because Collins was on the Diablo last game, right? So we were moving now on to lobby 2. See the bans there on the Zoom. Pirates, Quillboar, and Dragons are going to be the ban tribes this time around, which means we are in premium triple into 4 lobby with both mechs and elementals available.
And there are some right dodgy heroes in this one. Nothing terrible, but there's a Lich King, which obviously is fine with Avenge mechanics, but it's kind of awkward. Omu, which is fine, but kind of awkward. There's a Ragnaros just chilling there for no reason. There's a Maiev, which, again, is fine, but not always behaving. Alakia might get off to an incredibly good start here, with all the other heroes kind of chilling down low.
And it is Slysssa on the Alakia. We did see Sun as well there, who has the Omu and hit a double token start and a paired double token start as well, hitting the same token twice, which is the best possible start by quite some distance for Omu. Sun can now use the main bodies of those 2 alley cats to cheat up a couple of levels if she would like to, while also maintaining that pair on her board, giving her the very, very fast ability to triple into a 4, a 5, or a 6, whatever she chooses to go for when that pair appears.
Lich King can more than hold his own here in this first fight. Of course, the second fight doesn't really matter, the early exchanges. You always say that and then somebody dies by 1 health that they didn't need to take or something, but yep.
True.
Bill looking good for a start on Bran. Obviously, it takes a little bit of skill to manipulate Bran because you get your battle cries, and then you sort of have to have a board of 1/1s for 2 or 3 turns where you try and fix it. But if that gets rolling, especially in the hands of an aggressive player like Bill, this is another player looking really good for Americas.
Yeah, certainly one of the greedier players that we have seen. We have talked about Collins' tendency to be a little bit greedy in certain spots, but we're starting to see it from Bill as well. But it's clearly a strategy that works for him. I think to some people, I think you've made a big deal of this, and I think you're absolutely right to do so. I think to a lot of the more casual onlookers, Bill will be the unknown quantity on this team, though he'll be the player that they know the least about. Whereas, actually, I would stick my neck out and say he's probably the highest ranked in terms of MMR right now. Dog has been up there, but I think Dog is currently around 75-ish at the moment, whereas I believe Bill is top 30. And I don't think Collins or Slysssa are quite up at that level at the moment either. So currently, I believe Bill is the highest MMR player on the Americas server for his team. So this strategy of greed that we are seeing come out from him clearly does pay off. And there is an alley cat in shop for Bill, which I believe completes the Bran. And now between that Bran and those 2 tokens that will get summoned from that alley cat, he does have at least 1 triple on deck, which I'm sure he will be holding on to for a significant amount of time from this point.
Yeah, 2 quick follow-ups on the Bill comments there. He's also played 2 full seasons of the China League at 15 weeks a time in Battlegrounds. Yes. I've just checked up, he's 29th on America's 12.8k MMR right now.
What did I say? Top 30? Top 30?
Yeah.
Nice! Score
pretty
1 for the good guys. Yeah.
Pretty good call, yeah. So he is in there, as always, battling for all the places you can battle for that aren't XQN.
Alright, if we're doing this, I'll find Dog in that case. Yeah, Dog is 63, just dropped below 12k, just sat below Minder in the rankings, interestingly enough. Minder in 62, Dog on 63. That is exactly where the 12k threshold is on ladder right now, between Dog and Minder.
Is Minder camping like 12,001 or something? Just curious.
1226.
Yeah, he's camping. Okay, cool. That makes sense. That's an obvious Minder camp. I can see that one a mile away. Right, back to the action. And Diablo looking in a decent spot, but then we know that Bill hasn't got anything because he's gone full Bran mode. He's being very greedy, as you're entitled to do with Bran. Yep.
And will continue to do so, as I was saying, for another turn or two, at least from this point, seeing where he is going. Although actually does have the option, if he wants to triple into a 4 right now with the way this gold interval works out, which he may do. It's no indication that he's actually doing it just because he's taking the triple right now, because this does mean that he can just be efficient with his gold and hold on to it. And yeah, now you see the decision is being made, right? He can continue to play the game with that tripled cat in his hand and just play it at a later date if he wants to. He could just jam it on board right now and take a 4. 4s, obviously, we can go back to the well once again. They're extremely strong in this metagame when you have Ellies and mechs in the lobby. However, Bill, currently on board, does not have a fantastic setup for Dazzling Lightspawn. But with the addition of the minion in shop, being an acolyte, I think this was absolutely the right decision for Bill to go for. He does get paid out for it immediately as well. Colin's doing something very similar, getting paid out as well. Double Avenge card for Collins off the 2 4-drops discovered with 2 Icky Imps locked and loaded. I don't know what the Europe players are doing, but there better be something incredibly impressive to be able to compete with what Americas is throwing down in this lobby so far.
Yeah, they need to hurt Bill right now to sort of limit the milking, and Collins, similar, but he's got a higher health total, looks a bit more stable already with that tank. I think I was going to say during your comments there, one of the things that Bill had to consider there is he has got Bran and obviously a token on board. He's got a decent chance of another triple anyway when making that decision. So it's you can be sort of taking the 4 even if you wanted a 5 and still get your 5s and 6s later. Wow. Just this Collins board is going to develop so quickly, and that's RDU taking 12 to the face there. Right, Simi doesn't seem to have any more triples to come. She does have that tank.
Mm-hmm. RDU now finding his first triple into a 4. He does get one of the better options, but still a tier below what some of the other players in this lobby are doing. Greasebot with a Divine Shield already on board is excellent, but not only is he a turn behind, a full turn behind what the 2 Americas players have started to do with their scaling. It is slightly weaker scaling as well in comparison, certainly to the Lightspawn that Bill has on his side.
And I think that Greasebot has been the underperformer of the tournament so far compared to what you might expect going into it. The way the meta has shaped up and the way that everyone has been so heavy, Greasebot milking has just not been that easy to do. Like, your Divine Shields aren't as good. They're getting shot down a lot anyway, so even if you get a fairly decent sized Divine Shield minion, it's not great. So I want to see how this progresses for Radu. I've just got a feeling that Greasebot is not that great in the way these games are being played in this tournament.
And while you are technically correct, which I'll let chat finish that one for me, I do have to mention that George Greasebot scaling is some of the strongest thing that we've seen in multiple lobbies over the course of the last few days.
Sure, but we've seen George scaling much quicker with other cards than Greasebot, sort of like Quilbers.
I think
the Greasebot was just an afterthought. Yeah, okay, not pretty.
Nice, actually, the way that worked out for Collins, he did lose his Milker early with the Witchwing going down, but because the tank picked up a value trade, it sat at 1 health alongside the Icky Imps, and then there was a couple of 50-50s where the Imps actually got shot first, where the tank could have got hit. So Collins escaped with a little bit of extra health there that he perhaps wasn't entitled to do so in that spot. Or second Lightspawn has now been found by Bill as well, starting to pick up some premium elementals. He is down below the magic number though, 14 last time I checked, and I am quite tired, Lorinda, so feel free to double check my maths in this position. But 14 I don't think is 15. I think he might be in danger of being one-shot in this position, which means he is starting to fill up the board with some bigger elementals.
14 and 15 about equal as far as I'm concerned, but that still reaches the same result. But he did manage to milk enough that he's got 15 elementals in the shop, and so he's going to have to do the juggling act of not dying and maybe picking up 1 or 2 of those elementals, which will slow down his milking but keep him alive. And he's got a tight line to walk there.
Yeah, you'll very often see these kind of boards where they'll replace everything else with big elementals and then just keep one Acolyte hanging around. So just that Acolyte dying on its own is enough for Bill's board, for example, with double Light Spawn to scale the elementals +2/+2 in the shot per turn, which is a big deal. And that can... You know, the balance of when to cash that out is very tough, but Acolytes in themselves can be very powerful cards in the late game, right? It's 2 bumpers that can deal with Divine Shields on the other side. There's other niche uses as well. For example, if someone is Pirates Exodia, which is a comp that we haven't really seen too much in this tournament, Acolyte can be a blocker to stop their Scally tokens from dying and actually gum up their board to the point it doesn't work. Like, Acolytes still have a lot of utility in the late game, and yeah, no surprise to me to be seeing Bill holding on to this one here.
Yeah, just having a look at Bill's fight. Looks like he's going to get yet another chunk of buffs on those elementals. He only had to buy 2, so...
That's a fat chunk of damage yet again, though. That's 11 going to be coming through, but that's fine. Any number between 0 and 13 was okay from Bill to take there, because there was no real world where he lost 2 fights from that position. So any fight he loses where he was still alive is basically irrelevant, right? Because he would consider himself in one-shot range no matter how much damage he took. So losing that fight and still being alive, I think, is a perfectly reasonable outcome from Bill's position.
That was Sun on the Omo, who looked like she'd stabilized, though, taking a beating on the right-hand side and taking exact lethal damage. And there was like a 30%, I think, if I caught it correctly. So her run of losing sort of everything she can possibly lose, and if Bob says so, continues. But she had stabilized to some degree there. Obviously not. So it's open now. Anybody can die at any time when we're going into the Diablo turn. And have a look how strong Aveline is. And not really big enough on the Deflectos for the reset to matter. She might struggle here.
Yeah, I would agree with that, but it is the boss fight turn for the Diablo, so the extra 10/10 here will make a big difference. Dog on the other side, for example, is not looking particularly massive either. So I think she will be okay for another turn or 2 at the very least. But Bill is now starting to put the pieces together, and he is cashing out, right, which I think is smart. He's sold one of the Avenging Light Spawns already because they're too small, quite frankly, to really be worth a spot on the board. He is picking up pairs as well. You can see the way this board has been converted. It's been converted into pairs because once he sells out of his scaling, he still wants that ability to be able to get bigger. And the only way that can really happen is turning pairs into triples, consolidating those stats into a more condensed board space, and then filling up the opened up spot with another element.
Yeah, you can see how sad it's making him to have to do this as well. It's not how he enjoys playing, but it's a team tournament. If he can just get not dead in this one fight, Diablo might do some work for him and move him up the rankings. And he's managed to achieve not dead.
Yep. Perfectly navigated, you have to say, right? He put himself in a position where he was basically 90% to win that fight, but not 100, which when you're seeing a spot like that and you've made yourself significantly stronger, you can all but guarantee if you did not make yourself significantly stronger that turn, you would be looking at a much more 50-50 or unfavored position to be in that fight. So excellent calculation of the game state from Bill in that position. He probably is resigned to not being first in this lobby anymore because he did not get enough milk out of the light spawn. But the fact that he cashed it out at the right time has turned a possible 7th into probably anywhere as high as 2nd or 3rd in this spot, depending on how well things can go for him from this position.
And in the last fight, Aveline did beat Collins, but you can see why. It's because Collins chose to let her. Obviously, he was trying to win the fight, but look at the money he is just hoarding now to get to 6.
No, I think you were absolutely right the first time. I think saying he was trying to win that fight is utterly disingenuous. I think he was 100% resigned to losing the fight the way his board was set up, because again, I don't think there's any world he expected to take 26, right? So I think he was absolutely fine with taking that amount of damage in that position.
You scrambling here. Never really got rolling on the Greasebot. You can see he's had some buffs on the pups, and he's ended up in my favourite emergency comp, which is a tank with some Domus, sell some elementals, put some divine shields up, and hope you don't die comp.
This is overall one of the scrappiest lobbies that we've seen throughout all the days of the tournament, right? No one really has an I-win comp put together that we have seen so far. Alakir is now looking perhaps the closest, because if Alakir can get full beasts with Windfury Bird on the far left, that is a very, very powerful comp overall. But just right now, she's still just using the power of that golden bird buddy to secure as much tempo as possible at the moment. Everyone else scrapping with tanks. Bill's comp kind of bust, right? He's had to sell out of his scaling unless he can find Nomi or more Avenging Ellies to scale back up again. So everyone is kind of just scrapping for tempo at this point.
I'm trying to work out how there isn't a cookie or a sneed. So Hook Tusk accounts for one of those, right? If you get offered both at the same time, you take the Hook Tusk. Where's the other one? I just can't see why there isn't a cookie or a sneed in this lobby. Shame we didn't see the pick selection at the very start. Okay, Bill with a Hummel. So looking for those triples you described, and he hits.
That is the juice right there. He will have to double sell through to pick something up here, though, which is a big deal. I don't think he wants to be parting ways with that zap anytime soon, because of the fact that beasts are a major factor in this lobby, meaning meaning Baron is a major factor in this lobby. Mechs also in this lobby, meaning Baron is a major factor in this lobby because of the kind of end game mech comp that we really haven't seen any of so far this tournament.
No.
The kind of super late game Omega Buster Baron kind of build being put together.
In fact, we've only ever seen it as a sort of cobbled together attempt to get second or third. We've seen that a few times, but not the full power of the comp.
Yeah, I think we saw one person may have been Collins on Bird Buster, right? As opposed to the slightly more conventional Buster with Kangors and so on. But really hasn't been as common as perhaps it would be when you are playing on ladder. Even after the Omega Buster nerfs, it's still a pretty powerful comp to put together if you can triple into that 6 early enough to get it done.
And Collins is having his first of what looks like 2 pop-off turns here. Finally getting low enough that he decided to actually put something on the board that does something. And this is the intermediate, this is the transition turn, right? He just uses brand, pumps some things up, and then next turn he's going to really go crazy with a potential golden 6 coming up in a moment as well. We were talking about Bill not winning the lobby, and that may still be true, but that Hummel he got with the triples has really put him into a good spot. You can see how strong he is, you can see how weak the Diablo's got now.
Yeah, those triples are starting to make a very, very big difference now, even with the low power level he has overall. But you can see as well that he has rolled particularly well since we last saw him, because the party elemental is already tripled, and the other elemental is already tripled as well, and he has the triple on the wildfire waiting in the shop for him. So to triple all of those minions as quickly as he did is certainly a little bit fortunate. Collins does take the L. You can see he was a big underdog in that one, 75% unfavored, but he does still have that brand and a lot of battle cries to push through.
Well, let's have a look at him this turn. It's our first chance to look at Slysssa. Actually, I'm going to change my mind. Let's have a look at how Slyssa's comp is going, then flick back to Collins. Because she has managed to assemble beasts on Alakir with a parrot in hand. That could get pretty large.
Yep, we saw her on the top side of the screen a couple of fights ago when she had just picked up the Great Wolf, but she was still very much relying on that Golden Bird buddy at the time to be able to keep her sped up on tempo. But as I was saying at the time, if you can get Windfury Bird as Alakir, and if you are just exceptionally good at winning coin flips and going first while playing beasts, then that can be certainly a winning combination for Slysssa.
I am going to cut back to Collins now. He's picking up his 6 drops, he's picking up his triples, his goldens on this, and he is building this big board, this transition, but he's still going to be able to keep something back for a 3rd big turn by the look of this, as long as he stays alive, which I think he will do. He's managed to get pretty much all the things you want in a non-comp.
in a ragtag collection of assorted cards that he's thrown on his board. He's doing pretty well. Just to get the recap out of the way, my notes have not let me down here. That is Avalyn on the Diablo that's died there as well.
Yes.
So it's actually a Europe 8-7, which is really, really bad news for them. Small deficit after the first lobby, the smallest possible deficit after the first lobby, but it's looking very much like that gap might just be widening between them and the Americas team.
Yeah, this is an important one in the Collins fight because that's RDU on the Lich King, and he needs to stay alive, otherwise they're going to be in a real pickle here.
And stay alive he has, picking up a very nice victory there on the Lich King, pushing some more damage to Collins, but Collins hanging on in there still. Meanwhile, Dog will also continue to survive against the massive beast board because of this SI7 on the right-hand side that Dog has rolling. But again, few players now really just scrapping for positions, whereas I think Slysssa and Bill are the two players that really have the most finished-looking comps at this point. You see everyone else still just kind of in tanks, in poison scam, all these kind of mitigating builds that they're trying to use to scrap for places and climb up positions.
Interesting choice here for Bill. I think he's looking at whether to take the snake or not here. That'd be my assessment. Doesn't need it, of course, with this at the moment, but could be handy later on. He's got to evaluate who he might play. Collins gets a massive break here. He's doing this crazy transition over several turns where he's just trying to sort of survive whilst milking, still getting some extra buffs every turn. And he's just been trying to spend this money without wasting. He's hit the Golden Bran and he's hit the Ghost.
Yeah, Golden Bran, Ghost, Amalgadon as well, that he was able... Basically, if you play an Amalgadon on a board with more than one or two tribes, you with a Golden Bran, you're going to get a Divine Shield Poison Amalgadon. Otherwise, you do get to complain about how unlucky you are. And that is exactly what happened to Collins in that position. But it looks like, as is generally the way with Golden Bran, he is going to lean most heavily into the Murlocs here, as they are going to be the quickest scaling for him, leveraging that Golden Bran. If he can find a lookout as a matter of urgency, he will be in business. But that was a disgusting wildfire attack from Bill's Bran board against his teammate and Dog on the other side. Enough Avenge, though. Sorry, enough Avenge has gone off to allow Dog to defend to a degree, but depending on where those attacks go, he could have ended up just taking lethal. But now, the Ghost, the scam, the poison scam, the Golden Bran. Collins is going to bite the dust, and we went from 5 to 2 in a single fight. What on earth happened that round?
I don't know. All I know so far, having tried to process this, is Slysssa is still alive. I don't know who the other one is. Oh, of course, it's Bill. That's it.
It's the two people with a Kibler. Of course it is. It's the two people that have actually hit stuff this game. Unbelievable. Collins, I think, played that so admirably, piecing things together. He was on the Milker, not the optimal Milker. He was riding a Witchwing for a significant amount of time, defending that tempo with the tank at the same time, switched out at the perfect moment, hit Golden Bran, and from that point, he very much had the opportunity to run away with that game, but he just got hit with the poison scam on the other side and got taken down unbelievably in 5th place there. Was it the Maiev Ghost that he ended up losing to? Which I think so. Was Simi's Ghost that ended up taking him down. So a little bit of revenge for Europe in the end. But it is still an America's 1-2 in this spot with Dog as Rag coming in 3rd as well. Yep.
One thing I think Bill has done really well in this game, we were talking earlier, you gave the strategy about, you have to bail out of the elementals and find triples, but after that he just kept his direction, like picking up Lil Rag, not ideal, not one of the best things to find on 6, but it gave him the direction, it made it easy to keep doing what he's doing. And I said at the time, I don't think he can win this lobby. He probably can't, looking at Slyssa's board, but he has done incredibly well to tidy this up very quickly, which is kind of what Collins failed to do, right? Collins was looking like he was tidying up 2 or 3 turns in a row, but it never turned into anything.
You never were any good at eyeballing beast boards, Lurinder. I remember this from your stream. Slysssa was a long way behind. This is, again, something you've generally tended to overrate the power of Beast. Like, you need to hit everything. You need Golden Baron, Golden Wolf to really be on the level of competing with all of this. That's a nice cleave, but the Hydra did not have enough health left remaining, so depending on where that value trait goes, it hits 1 HP! So this is going to be a tie, and Slysssa is going to have the opportunity now to look for some golden pieces to really spike her power level against Bill on the other side, because she has 0 scaling in the truest sense of the word. Witty Bill has plenty on his side if he wants to go for it, but now an extra reborn on the Myexna. Slysssa, I think, is closing the gap significantly on making this happen. I don't know why I'm getting so excited about it, because it literally doesn't matter. They're both America's players, but at the same time, seeing these final 2 battles is what you really like looking for.
In my defense on this one, and I do agree that I was always terrible at doing the beast board thing. I saw the parrot, I saw the poisons, and I assumed there was a selfless on the board last turn.
Okay, gotcha.
So that's my defense on this one occasion. I'm going to use my one get out of jail card for the whole tournament.
Okay.
Which is a shame, because I've been in jail like 19 times.
Yeah, it's an interesting question, right, as to whether that's something Slysssa should look to switch into because of the fact she's not getting there on stats. The only reason she's competitive in this fight is that she has currently 4 poisons with the 2 reborn Myexnas, right? So transitioning a little bit into Parrot's selfless poison instead of the wolf build is actually something that perhaps she could have looked at doing in this situation. But yeah, she has narrowed the gap significantly now because of that extra poison. But if we can go back in time, imagine we were still casting Mercs, because Slysssa just lost a very important coin flip on this turn.
Yeah, and everything just getting eradicated now. I don't think she's got enough poisons to do it. She definitely hasn't got the stats to do it.
You could, in fact, say it's getting eradicated.
Wow. You're doing well. You keep up this tempo to get you through game 3 and you'll be good. Does she survive, though? I think she does.
18 damage! This one is not ending just yet, and I think Bill is starting to fear for his life just a little bit, because Slysssa is only 1 or 2 big hits away from turning what was originally, a 10%er, then into a 50-50. One more big piece of the puzzle being picked up here for Slysssa, and she will be favoured going into this fight. Ooh, triple rag from Bill on the other side, though.
And Slyssa's donkey rolled this turn, which is not a very pleasant term when it makes you sound like an idiot, but she was just looking solely, I think, for that the golden there. There's not much else to do.
Yeah, I did get distracted on Bill's side a little bit, but I didn't see too much in her shop that was a interesting proposition. I think the more interesting discussion comes from the previous term when the selfless heroes were out and about, right? And whether that transition was ever worthwhile. But Slysssa did get herself into a 50-50 position, basically. Like, we're here, right? It's parrot build. It's going to come down to coin flips. That is what it does tend to be. It is the most coin flippy build that you can tend to get in Battlegrounds, just because of how important attacking first with that macaw is.
If she thought the last fight was the last fight, possibly, and then getting the health totals to break points that I'm going to assume that she'd calculated on those Myexnas would be the same as a selfless in many regards anyway, but it's now made it a bit worse for this one because those break points no longer exist in the same form.
But there you go. This time it was Bill who managed to improve significantly. It was also Bill that managed to attack first again. So I would imagine a big chunk of that 25% win rate for Slysssa has melted away. And now it's evaporating because Divine Shield went into poison there, which is the worst possible scenario.
Is the Hydra set up well or badly? I don't think the breakpoints were... Oh, it does. It works out nicely for Slysssa, actually, if she hits in the middle, which she does not.
Oh, okay, the Baron gets taken down, and we are back yet again to another tie. 25% tie in the middle there. Slysssa only 50-50 to die on that turn, so she lives to roll another day. Still looking for Baron triple, looking for Wolf triple, looking for Parrot triple. Currently not finding any of it. Rattler again is functionally another Parrot in this position.
Yeah, just realised she was on 5 there, so no Wolf.
Well, she has gone back up to 6 in this point, though, so it's still worthwhile. And I like this decision. Get out of Baron, play the Reborn Rattler, get it through, get the Baron back into play. Does give you a significant, tangible improvement on the fight over the course of the turn.
Bill hitting another triple. I assume that's going to be good. I know that sounds like a weird comment to make, but it does put him a minion down.
Yeah, if he doesn't like the look of this triple, though, his gold interval is very nice. If he wants a Myexner, he can have a Myexner. If he wants to trade it for another big elemental, he can do that as well. But I think he will just end up holding on to the Myexner in this spot. The triple, I would say, is very good for him because of just the nature. It's a wildfire. That gives him now a bunch of good cleave minions himself. But that is a very, very big deal as well. But now we are in probably the final fight. Coin flip the fourth coming in, and Bill wins it again. I think that is 1 to Slysssa, 3 to Bill in terms of attacking first, which is a huge, huge factor in these beast builds.
And like you say, it's exciting, but it's not exciting at all because it's 2 Americans players in the top 2.
Literally doesn't matter.
Finish.
Yeah. It doesn't matter. At a point, your instincts just take over and you do your job, you know, but it just literally isn't important.
Just like the first 6 hours of today.
Just like this entire broadcast. Yeah.
Right, so Bill does take it down, Slysssa gets second, Dog gets third, and obviously you don't need to be a rocket scientist or even the son of one to work out that is a lot of points.
Size check. What does that mean?
Size matters, so people can check out what size they are by typing the command size. See if they're chonkers or dinkers or average or growers or showers.